For decades, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson wasn't just a movie star, he was Hollywood's modern-day Midas. Every franchise he touched seemed to turn to gold. But that empire didn't just happen overnight. It was the result of one of the most unbelievable reinventions in entertainment history. Before he was a global box office titan, he was WWE's People's Champion, a charismatic powerhouse who electrified audiences and rewrote the rules of sports entertainment. Yet, at a time when wrestlers turned actors were often seen as novelties, Johnson refused to be typecast. He didn't just dip his toes into Hollywood, he dove in head first, betting on himself when few believed a wrestler could carry a blockbuster. By the mid-2000s, Johnson had become the ultimate remedy for studio anxiety. When Fast and Furious needed new energy, his introduction as Luke Hobbs injected a bolt of adrenaline that helped propel the series to unprecedented heights. Then came Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, a film many wrote off as a dated reboot. Instead, it became a billion-dollar phenomenon, credited largely to Johnson's infectious charm and broad appeal. Even in animation, his voice roles in films like Moana cemented his status as a family-friendly icon, a star parents and kids could both root for. Hollywood had found its safest bet, a man whose very presence promised profitability. His success translated into staggering wealth. Johnson shattered records, becoming the world's highest-paid actor year after year, commanding upfront fees of $20 to $30 million per film, plus back-end deals. But his empire extended far beyond the screen. Through savvy producing, partnerships, and social media mastery, he built a personal brand that felt both aspirational and relatable: the disciplined gym warrior, the motivational speaker, the devoted father. On Instagram, he wasn't just promoting movies, he was sharing a lifestyle built on grinding harder than anyone else. That carefully curated authenticity made him more than an actor. He became a symbol of relentless success. By the late 2000s, Dwayne Johnson stood at a peak few ever reach. Studios viewed him as a franchise savior, audiences saw him as the ultimate blockbuster guarantee, and his brand seemed unshakable. He had accomplished the impossible, transcending wrestling, conquering Hollywood, and building an empire on the promise of his own indestructibility. But in Hollywood, the higher you climb, the harder the fall. And the very ego that fueled his rise was already beginning to cast a long, unnoticed shadow over everything he had built. Cracks in the armor, the Steroid Whisper campaign. At the very core of Dwayne Johnson's empire stands a single, monumental pillar: his body. It's the ultimate symbol of his brand: discipline, hard work, and superhuman will. But what if that symbol wasn't entirely real? Johnson's entire public persona is architecturally built around his physique. The 4 a.m. workouts, the Iron Paradise home gym, the relentless social media posts framing his body as the direct result of outsized effort and clean living. This isn't just about fitness, it's the foundational myth of his authenticity. He didn't just sell movies, he sold the idea that such greatness is achievable through sheer grit. Yet, as he aged into his 50s, maintaining near unprecedented mass, vascularity, and leanness, a persistent question began to echo in gym forums, comment sections, and even mainstream fitness circles. Is this humanly possible? For years, allegations of performance-enhancing drug, PED, or steroid use have followed Johnson like a shadow. Prominent bodybuilding experts and physiologists have occasionally pointed to telltale signs: the uncanny fullness year-round, the capped deltoids, the striated glutes at a low body fat percentage in a man over 50, arguing this profile often aligns with pharmacologically assisted conditioning. Johnson has consistently and vehemently denied these claims. His defense rests on decades of disciplined training, a meticulous diet, and good genetics. He frames the skepticism as cynicism, the unwillingness to believe that his level of dedication is real. For another actor, these might remain niche rumors, but for The Rock, they strike at the heart of his brand's integrity. His value isn't just in acting, it's in being The Rock, the inspirational figure who proves that relentless hard work is the only magic pill. If the public perception shifts to believe his physique is chemically engineered, the entire narrative of authentic, earned success crumbles. It transforms his "hardest worker in the room" motto from an inspiration into a potential facade. The brand shifts from "you can do it too" to "you can't do this unless you have his resources and chemistry." This doubt is corrosive. It doesn't require proof in a court of law. It only requires enough suspicion to plant a seed in the public mind. This chapter isn't about proving or disproving the use of PEDs. It's about tracing the first fundamental crack in a carefully constructed monument. When your brand is built on being the real deal, any persistent question about your authenticity isn't just gossip, it's a strategic vulnerability. It laid the groundwork for the public and the industry to start viewing other aspects of his career, his behavior, his choices, his box office power, with a more critical, less forgiving eye. The pillar of the body remained visually imposing, but the foundation of trust beneath it had begun to subtly, quietly fracture. Ego, behind the scenes, feuds, and chronic lateness. If the steroid whispers quietly chipped away at the myth, Johnson's own behavior on set turned quiet rumors into public headlines. The most glaring example erupted from the very franchise that helped crown him Hollywood's king, Fast and Furious. What began as on-screen chemistry between Luke Hobbs and Dominic Toretto curdled into one of Hollywood's most publicly toxic feuds. Behind the scenes, the rivalry between Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel grew so heated that reports surfaced detailing contract clauses, allegedly for Johnson, Diesel, and co-star Jason Statham, that prevented their characters from losing fights on screen. It was a staggering demand, one that placed ego squarely above storytelling. The tension didn't stay private. Johnson escalated it to the public square with a now infamous Instagram post, bluntly calling some of his male co-stars candy asses. This wasn't just industry gossip anymore. It was a window into a set poisoned by alpha competition. The feud never healed. Instead of reconciliation, Johnson eventually walked away from the main franchise, betting on himself with the spin-off Hobbs and Shaw. The move was meant to be a power play, but it ultimately revealed a superstar unwilling to share a spotlight, or a universe. This pattern of friction wasn't isolated to Diesel. On the set of the Netflix mega-production Red Notice, a similar story unfolded. Insiders reported a clash with Ryan Reynolds, known for his own professional diligence, after Reynolds and the crew were left waiting for hours for Johnson to arrive. It fit a growing list of allegations from multiple productions that the hardest worker in the room was frequently hours late, sometimes up to 7 or 8, or would skip shooting days entirely. These weren't minor delays, they were costly logistical nightmares that blew out budgets and tried the patience of co-stars and crew alike. The contradiction was glaring. The public persona of pre-dawn workouts and relentless discipline was crashing against private reports of lateness and unprofessionalism. Then came the bizarre confession that seemed to encapsulate this disconnect. In an interview, Johnson casually admitted to sometimes urinating in water bottles on set to avoid wasting time walking to a bathroom. He framed it as a quirky, hyper-efficient habit. The internet, however, framed it differently, as a strange, almost arrogant disregard for basic norms and comfort, reducing the highest-paid actor in the world to a late-night talk show punchline. But the joke had a bitter aftertaste. It symbolized a deeper issue, a perception that Johnson's time was so astronomically valuable that even fundamental pauses were beneath him. What once looked like dedication now risked looking like entitlement. The carefully curated image of the humble, grateful star was being overwritten by a new narrative, that of a problematic titan whose ego was stalling productions and alienating collaborators. The Rock was still a star, but he was increasingly seen as a difficult one. And in Hollywood, being difficult is a cost most studios will only bear for as long as the box office returns remain guaranteed. Black Adam, the failed DC takeover. For 15 years, Dwayne Johnson didn't just want to star in a superhero movie, he wanted to command one. He pushed, produced, and promised that Black Adam would change the hierarchy of power in the DC universe. It was to be his coronation as Hollywood's ultimate superhero king, a passion project fueled by more than a decade of his own relentless hype. But when the film finally landed, the hierarchy that shifted was his own. The ambition was colossal, matched by a budget estimated between $190 million and a staggering $260 million. This wasn't just another blockbuster, it was Johnson's personal stake in the future of a comic book empire, with him positioning himself not just as its star, but as a potential creative advisor for the entire DC slate. The marketing promised a darker, edgier anti-hero, a role Johnson insisted was perfectly tailored to redefine his on-screen persona. The reality was a harsh collision with box office math and critical scorn. Despite the monumental spend, Black Adam grossed just $393.5 million worldwide. In the high-stakes calculus of modern blockbusters, where a film typically needs to earn at least 2.5 times its production budget just to break even, those numbers spelled one thing: a financial failure. Tens of millions of dollars were lost. Critics were even less kind. The film earned a dismal 32% approval rating from top critics on Rotten Tomatoes. Reviews painted it as the epitome of generic studio product. It was slammed as repetitive, anti-entertaining, and a visually confounding mess of rapid-fire editing. One critic posed the damning question: what happens when Hollywood's most risk-averse movie star collides with Hollywood's most risk-averse movie genre? The answer, according to the review, was exactly what you'd expect, only worse. Johnson's performance was often noted as a lone strength, but it was buried under what was widely seen as a formulaic and forgettable film. Behind the scenes, Johnson's control over the project may have contributed to its isolation. Reports suggest he actively blocked attempts to connect Black Adam with the already established Shazam franchise, deeming it beneath the grander brand he was building. He instead orchestrated a much-hyped mid-credit scene featuring Henry Cavill's Superman, a power move meant to cement his character at the center of the DC universe. This victory lap was short-lived. Within weeks of the film's release, a new leadership team took over DC Studios and scrapped those plans entirely, leaving Johnson's meticulously built kingdom without a throne. When confronted with the narrative of his unprofessionalism and the film's failure, Johnson's response was characteristically defiant but revealing. Addressing reports of extreme lateness on other sets, he dismissed the specific claims as a bananas amount, "That's crazy, ridiculous," and called the overall controversy bullshit. He and his collaborators framed his habitual tardiness as a scheduled, known quantity, something the production planned around. This defense, however, inadvertently reinforced the central criticism that his star power had created a separate set of rules, one that placed his personal routine above the efficiency and morale of a 100-strong crew. Black Adam was more than a box office bomb. It was a profound rupture in the myth of The Rock. It proved that his golden touch had limits, that his personal passion was not a substitute for a compelling story, and that even his immense influence could not force a reluctant audience or a changing studio to bend to his will. The hierarchy of power did change, it just wasn't in the way he intended. Red 1. The $250 million disaster. If Black Adam was a crack in the foundation, Red 1 was the entire structure collapsing in a spectacular, garishly lit disaster. Pitched as Amazon's grand entry into the holiday blockbuster arena, a high-concept Christmas adventure starring Johnson alongside Captain America himself, Chris Evans, the film carried a budget rumored to be as high as $250 million. On paper, it was a guaranteed hit, a beloved star duo, a familiar genre mashup, and the full might of a streaming giant behind it. But behind the shiny wrapping paper was a production so chaotic it became a case study in hubris. The stories from the set were worse than mere whispers. They were detailed allegations from crew members that painted a picture of profound disarray. Johnson's reported chronic lateness, a theme from other projects, allegedly reached its zenith here. Multiple sources claimed he would routinely arrive 7 to 8 hours late to set, with some days missed entirely. In the meticulously scheduled world of a tentpole film, where hundreds of technicians and actors clock in at call time, such delays are catastrophic. They cause a domino effect of wasted man-hours, forced overtime, and logistical nightmares, inevitably ballooning a budget that was already astronomical. The frustration reportedly boiled over with co-star Chris Evans, known for his own professional demeanor, who was said to be furious after being left waiting for hours. The dynamic meant to be the film's greatest selling point, the chemistry between two iconic leads, was reportedly poisoned before the cameras even rolled consistently. Then, Johnson himself added fuel to the fire with a startlingly unforced error. In an interview, he confirmed long-running rumors by admitting that, to save time, he would sometimes urinate in a large water bottle while in his trailer. He framed it as a quirky, hyper-efficient habit of a man too dedicated to his work to take a bathroom break. The public image unravels. For over a decade, Dwayne Johnson's greatest asset wasn't just his physicality or his box office numbers, it was his image. He masterfully built the persona of the people's champion, the humble, hard-working guy from a wrestling family who never forgot his roots, the motivational family man who just happened to be one of the world's biggest stars. This image acted as a shield, deflecting criticism and fostering unparalleled goodwill. But in recent years, that shield has shown severe cracks, revealing a disconnect that has turned public admiration into skepticism and, at times, outright backlash. The most damaging rupture came in the wake of tragedy. In August 2023, devastating wildfires swept through Maui. In response, Johnson and media mogul Oprah Winfrey launched the People's Fund of Maui, asking the public to donate directly to help displaced families. On the surface, it was a charitable act from two beloved billionaires. The reaction, however, was a firestorm of criticism. The public and media quickly pointed out the irony. Two of the richest entertainers on Earth were asking everyday people, many struggling with inflation, to fund relief efforts they were more than capable of bankrolling themselves entirely. Headlines asked, "Why are Oprah and The Rock asking us to donate?" The initiative was slammed as out of touch and tone-deaf, a stark violation of the man of the people ethos Johnson had cultivated. For many, it transformed his image from one of generosity to one of performative, cost-effective charity. A later, detailed report by People magazine in 2025 would reveal that Johnson and his team saw the catastrophic event as a critical reputation repair opportunity, a chance to leverage a real-life tragedy to rebuild his brand, a calculation that, once revealed, only deepened the cynicism surrounding his actions. Parallel to this, his business ventures began to face similar scrutiny. The New Guard. How Bautista and Cena are winning while Johnson's brand has faltered. The very peers who followed him out of the WWE have flourished by doing everything he has not. They have exposed a critical flaw in his strategy. In today's Hollywood, versatility beats invincibility. Dave Bautista has actively shed his Drax image to become a respected character actor. His choices in films like Blade Runner 2049 and Dune are celebrated for their subtlety and risk, earning him critical respect Johnson has never sought. Bautista's path proves there is a hunger for wrestlers who want to disappear into roles, not just play themselves. Similarly, John Cena has mastered a different currency, likability. By fully embracing self-deprecating humor in projects like Peacemaker and comedies like Trainwreck, he has shown an effortless charm and lack of ego. Where Johnson's persona feels controlled and monumental, Cena's feels accessible and human. The contrast is stark. Johnson doubled down on a singular, ego-driven image of unstoppable victory. Bautista and Cena, by allowing themselves to be vulnerable, character-driven, and even silly, have built more sustainable and evolving careers. They are not just action stars, they are actors. And in doing so, they have won the long-term game Johnson is now losing. Conclusion: the empire cracks. Dwayne Johnson built an empire on the image of being indestructible, but the very force that built it, his own ego, has become its greatest weakness. From closed sets to open box office failures, the myth of The Rock has shattered against the reality of his choices. He will be remembered as a titan of his era, but one whose legacy is now defined by the cracks he couldn't control.